Women usually don't go throughout a psychological treatment after a violation, and this can cause a lot of problems like anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress. The stress is caused because of the violation with injuries and danger of death. Doctors apply a psychological treatment that consists on investigating the characteristics of the violation and a lot of problems that these type of situations can bring to the woman.
Gender violence is a pervasive issue in society caused by unequal power dynamics and cultural norms. It has several consequences for victims and society as a whole, including physical injuries, emotional trauma, and long term economic and social consequences. To address this issue, a comprehensive approach is necessary, including education awareness raising campaigns, support for victims, holding perpetrators accountable, and promoting gender equality. Gender violence affects millions of individuals every day. The eradication of gender violence requires a collective effort from all members of society, providing support and resources for victims. Education is crucial in eradicating gender violence. Cultural norms that perpetuate gender must be challenged through campaigns and promote gender equality and nonviolent communication. Finally, working together, we can create a society that values equality and normal and non-violent communication, where gender violence is not tolerated.
Hi, my name is Natalia, and I'm going to talk about the violence in Mexico for the woman. Violence against women is a global problem that affects millions of women around the world, and Mexico is not an exception. Women are murdered every day in Mexico, and most of these murders go unpunished. The term feminicide refers to the murder of women for the fact of being women. Violence against women is a chronic and systematic problem in Mexico, affecting women of all ages, social classes, and education levels. Impunity is one of the biggest obstacles to ending violence against women in Mexico. In addition, the macho and patriarchal culture in Mexico contributes to perpetuating violence against women. Discrimination and violence against women are considered acceptable in many social circles, and it is difficult for women to get support and protection. Addressing violence against women in Mexico requires action at the political, social, and cultural levels. Awareness campaigns are also needed to combat the macho and patriarchal culture in Mexico and promote gender equality and women's rights. In summary, violence against women in Mexico is a serious problem that affects millions of women. Effective action is needed to end impunity and ensure that women can live free from violence and discrimination.
Gender violence is a serious problem that affects women all over the world. Although gender violence can affect men, women are the main victims of this type of violence. In this essay, we will analyze the causes of the gender violence and why are the main victims of it. In general, it can be said that gender violence is the result of discrimination and gender inequality in society. This form of discrimination and inequality can make women more vulnerable to gender-based violence. Also, gender violence can affect everyone. I know women are the main victim of this type of violence. There are several reasons why women are the vulnerable to gender-based violence. Third, gender-based violence is often of the result of unequal power in relation between men and women. In summary, gender violence is a serious social problem that affects women all over the world that cause gender violence and diverse of complex. But in general, gender violence is a result of discrimination, gender inequality in society, and the culture toxic masculinity. Also, gender-based violence can affect everyone, women, and the many victims of this type of violence, though the economic and social vulnerability, the social construction of female sexuality, and the unequal power relationship between.
In Mexico, we have an education that don't promote a lot of topics and censorships of sexual education, and this is promoting the ignorance of teenagers that one day will become adults. And we have seen this type of situations since a long time ago. And this is becoming a situation or a problem of gender equality because it promotes the disrespect and the violence between genders.
Sexual violence is a serious problem that affects millions of people around the world, and young people between the age of 15 and 19 are one of the most vulnerable groups. According to a research carried out by international organizations such as the WHO and UNICEF, it is estimated that at least 1 of 5 adolescent girls and 1 of 13 adolescent boys have suffered sexual violence at some point of their lives. Sexual violence can take many forms, from sexual harassment and inappropriate advances to unwanted touching and rape. The impact of sexual violence in adolescents can be profound and long-lasting. It is important that steps are taken to prevent sexual violence against young people and to support those who have been victims of it. It is also important that support is provided to young people who are victims of sexual violence.